Hi, and welcome to Otto's Wood Shop. On this episode of Adventures in Building, I'm going to show you how we took the rough sawn cherry that my dad provided me. We turned it into all the interior trim on the home. So basically, we started off with this type of board here, rough sawn, different thicknesses, edges aren't straight. From there, we run it through the planer, and we end up with something like this. Nice and smooth, uniform thickness, but the edges are still crooked. So I can't do much to get a straight board out of that. So, I put the board in here, clamp it down, run it through my saw, it gives me a straight edge. And from there I can cut it to width. So I have my finished piece of trim. Then I run it through the shaper or the table saw with a special blade. So we'll put the profile on the top here for the base molding, or the ribs for the door and window trim. So stick around and we'll show you how we do all of that, and hopefully you won't be bored to tears. So the first thing we had to do was decide on the style of trim that we were going to go with. We went with a pretty basic, simple, clean line style that you see here in this picture. We used a 5-inch baseboard, which is the one at the bottom, and we went with a 1-inch corner blocks, and that will be on the inside corner and the outside corners for the trim to butt up to. To the right side of the baseboard, you see what's called a plinth. That's a 7-inch block, and that's going to be at the bottom of every door. Then you have our 3.5-inch molding that goes around every door and around all the windows. Then you have the rosettes that we're going to put on the top corners of each window and every door. So that was the style of trim that we decided we were going to go with. We did change the profile on the top of the baseboard to make it a little bit more interesting, but other than that, what you see here is what we went with. So, on to more woodworking. Alright, so I showed you how we plane the boards flat. Now we got to get a straight edge. Here's why we have to do that. Here's a board that's flat. You can see this fixture is straight, but the board touches at this end. Then there's a gap, and then it touches at the other end. So I use this fixture to give me a straight edge. So, I put a couple spacers in here to ensure that I'm going to get a consistent cut all the way over. Clamps down. I only want to take off as little as possible, so I'm going to measure it. So, I'll cut it at 9 inches. Set my saw. Alright, so saw is set, ready to go. Now the board has a straight edge, so now I can cut to width. And that's how we get our trim boards. So you saw how I put the edge on the straight edge. Just have to do that stack of boards, and then I'll be done with that stuff. Now that we got a straight edge on the boards, now I can start cutting into width. We're doing the door and window trim, which is 3.5. I put my bridge fence at 3.5. Ready to cut. There you have your rough sawn cherry, plain down, edged in size, so I have a trim molding for a door or a window. Next up with this stuff, put the grooves down the middle. That's another day. Time to call it a night. So this machine is called a shaper. We've got a router blade in here that's going to put the profile on the bottom of the board over here. So I'll show you how we do that. Got the baseboard trim all done, nothing left now but the staining in the ceiling. Now it's on to the door and window trim. Now it's time to put the ribs into the door trim and the window trim molding that goes around the doors and around the windows. So I got this funky ninja throwing star thing. Not really, but it's got some nasty sharp edges on it. So this goes on the table saw and it's going to put the grooves in the board. Let me get it mounted on the table saw and I'll show you how it works. So we got the blade mounted in the saw. Let me show you what that looks like. And then when we turn it on, do some damage. All right, hopefully not to me, just the wood. So put you back in the stand and you can watch over my shoulder. That's a crap ton of wood. Let me show you. And yes, that is the correct woodworking term for a lot of wood, a crap ton. That's a technical term. Alright, so I showed you how we put this rib into the door and the window casings. Right now we've got a sharp corner right here on both edges. So I've got a 1/4 round bit in the shaper. So I'm going to show you what that looks like after we run this board through that. Safety first. So I showed you how I took the door and trim molding, this stuff here, and put the rounded edges using the shaper. Awful lot of work, especially for an old man like me. So another technique you can do use the router. So I'll show you how I'm going to do the rest of the boards. So the first thing we got to do is we got to find a way to hold the board down. So got a couple of clamps, got a big old heavy board here, clamp there, clamp there, safety glasses, handy dandy router, and away we go. Move the clamp so I can get the part I missed. And there you have a finished piece of door or trim molding. Much easier, much faster.
This into this. Voila.
So I've shown you start to finish, going from the rough sawn cherry to the finished trim ready to be sanded and stained and sealed, and sanded again and sealed one more time. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, so we're making headway. A great big thank you to Dad, Otto Nemechek, owner of Otto's Wood Shop, for supplying the wood and the equipment to turn it into trim that's going to look gorgeous in our house when we get it done. So thanks, Dad. Couldn't have done it without you. So until the next episode of Adventures in Building, this is Brian saying, I'll be the same. And welcome to this episode of Adventures in Building. I'm your host, Cletus Cornholler. Sealed, sanded again, and stained again. Or sealed, stop. Trim production, take 3,700, I don't know. Well, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully it's not a train, but I don't think it is. Okay, so I've got all the boards ripped to width. Take two. Okay, so start. Take two. Okay, so I showed you how.
So right here is perfect.
I'm looking way down enough.
Oh, see, you do that right here. Wait, I didn't shut the lights. I didn't shut it off.
I know.
Oh, you wanted me to do
Well,
it?
yeah, that way I would know that you.
Oh, okay. Do it again?
Yeah. And look. It's the proprietor of Otto's Wood Shop.
Oh.
He works with them for the wood makers out there.
Yeah, don't have any kids that want to build a new house.
He volunteered all this.
Yeah. Oh, shit.